Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So in this video we are going to study more about the subject environmental biotechnology. So let's get started with this. So lastly we studied about ecosystem and some of its components. So let's just continue from there on, and known as autotrophs. Consumers are known as heterotrophs and decomposers are known as saprotrophs. Alright, so let's just talk about producers first. So producers are photosynthetic green plants which synthesize high energy complex organic compounds from inorganic raw materials with the help of sunlight. So these are mainly plants, and these are not dependent on anyone for food and other nutrition, and they synthesize their food materials from raw materials with the help of sunlight. So talking about the next term that we have is the consumers. So consumers feed on plants and other organisms which are herbivores, carnivores or omnivores as well. So, and consumers include us also, so we definitely are dependent on plants and other species for food, and definitely we are one of the consumers. And herbivores are organisms which feed on vegetarian food. Carnivores are which feed on flesh, and the third we have which can be both. So moving on from there on, we have decomposers. Talking about decomposers, these are bacteria and fungi which break down complex organic compounds of dead plants and animals into simpler substances by secreting digestive enzymes, subsequently absorbing them. And they do not ingest their food. So basically they do not have their food which they decompose. So these are basically fungi, yeast, bacteria which break the organic compounds of plants or animals or human bones and human flesh to simpler substances by secreting some of the enzymes. And definitely they do not consume that decomposed product. So moving on from there on. So do we have the most important topic for ecosystem, which is the food chain. So you can see a food chain that has been formed here, starting from the primary producers to the quaternary consumers. So primary producers are the plants, as you can see. So these are the plants. Then we have the primary consumers, which can be herbivores. So the herbivores are generally considered as primary consumers. All right. So which feed on plants and something that is not related with animals or something that is not related with any of the species. So these are herbivores which feed on plants. So secondly we have which are known as the secondary consumers, which are the carnivores. So carnivores feed on flesh or animals. And next we have another variant of consumers, which is the tertiary consumers. That is again the carnivores. So carnivores, that is a bigger form of carnivores, such as all are animals, right? So these also come under carnivores, and these also come as carnivores. And also these huge birds or hawks also come under carnivores. So definitely, as you can see in the other picture here that we have here, these are small fishes. These are bigger than the previous one. These are the biggest ones. So these are the varieties of carnivores that we have depending on the size and shape. So which come under primary, secondary, tertiary and quaternary consumers. All right. So this is a simple food chain that is shown to you, that follows a basic chain, as you can see, starting from the plants to the highest level of consumers. So moving on from there. So let's just talk about the definition of food chain, what it says. So it's the ecological sequence of transfer of matter and energy in the form of food from organism to organisms. All right. It is a sequence of who eats whom in a biological community to obtain nutrition. It establishes feeding relationship between biotic components of an ecosystem. All right. Based on this nutrition source, organisms occupy a specific place in the food chain, which is known as the trophic level. And herbivores eaten by carnivores forming a higher trophic level, they always end at decomposers level. So as you can see, this is an easy thing. This is something that is very basic that you can understand. So it starts from producers, then we move to consumers, which starts from herbivores. All right. So consumer column starts from herbivores, then it moves to carnivores, Then we have the decomposer. So carnivores, we have three types of, which can be which is the second type of consumers, or definitely which are the second types of consumers, and it finally leads to decomposers, which are the bacteria and fungi which decompose the complex organic matter. So moving on from there on. So this is the basic, that is the cycle again we have for the food chain. As you can see, these are the, we have another column that is the detritus food chain, which starts with the dead organic matter and ends with predators. So that is just the reverse cycle, all right, which starts from the dead organic matter, which is the leaf litters. So leaf litters which are present at any place or any polluted area or any forest or somewhere, which are degraded with the help of saprophytes or decomposers, all right, or which can be anything, and which are then consumed by small carnivorous fishes, and then which are consumed then that are consumed by large carnivorous fishes. So this is a very simple thing. This is another variation of food chain, which is the detritus food chain, which deviates from the normal food chain, and it just follows the order in a reverse manner, just as in food chain. So food chain starts from plants and ends at decomposers, and detritus food chain starts from decomposers and ends to the predators or the consumers. All right. So here we have another small diagram for you for the food chain. That we have is the plant, which is the first trophic level. Then we have the primary consumers or the herbivores, which can be butterfly. We have the secondary consumers, which are the small birds, animals, which are the next. We have the tertiary consumers, which are the big animals or anything bigger in size and shape, and then we have the saprophytes or the decomposers. So these were something above, outside sea, and this is something open. This is something in marine. So marine we have these are some of the phytoplanktons or the small plants that grow in deep inside the ocean, which are consumed by zooplankton, which comes under primary consumers. And then we have small fishes. Then small fishes are consumed by larger fishes, and these larger fishes are decomposed with the help of marine worms. All right. So these marine worms, bacteria, fungi all come under decomposers category. So moving on with this. So here is we have another table that represents a proper food chain and how it moves on. So these are three different types of ecosystems that we have. This is the grassland ecosystem, this is the pond ecosystem, and then we have the forest ecosystem. So these are some of the producers that we have here, which can be grasses, phytoplankton, trees. All right, and the herbivores accordingly we have. For grassland ecosystem we have insects, rats, mice, rabbits. For pond ecosystem we have zooplankton, and for forest ecosystem we have insects, herbivores, mammals. So for primary carnivores we have frogs. For grassland ecosystem, snakes, frogs. For ponds we have small fishes, and for forest ecosystem we have lizards, birds, and foxes. For secondary carnivores we have snakes, predators, wolf, and pond ecosystem we have larger fishes, and forest we have lion, tigers, and all of the bigger organisms. Next we have the tertiary carnivores, which can be for grassland it can be predatory birds, lion, and in a pond we have the biggest marine organisms present in the pond. So moving on from there. So let's just talk about the energy flow here, which is the most important thing that happens in a food chain, in any particular food chain that exists. All right. So this is, let's just talk about the diagram first. All right. So this is the energy from sunlight where all of the creation starts from, or all of the food chain wherever in the world starts from. So energy from the sun is extracted by these plants so that they can make their own food. So after making their food, these foods are consumed by these types of consumers, as you can see. So as you can see, there are some percentage such as 90% energy loss, 90% energy loss. So I'll be explaining just right here. As you can see, it's written clearly here. So this is a very easy thing. So let's go through it. So unidirectional flow of energy and biomass through biotic components of ecosystem from lower to higher trophic levels are followed. So basically, this is one very important point, that unidirectional flow of energy is always followed in nature. So there is no bidirectional flow of energy. There is always unidirectional flow of energy that is followed by nature. Also, both decreases with each increasing tropic level. So the energy decreases, all right, with decrease in tropic level. So starting from sunlight, as the energy is transferred from sunlight to plants, some amount of energy is decreased, all right, and after plants the energy is transferred or the food is transferred to consumers, some more amount of energy is decreased, and thus the cycle goes on, all right. So there is a 10% rule, all right. So 10% energy from lower tropical level is available to the next upper tropical level. So around, so as you can see, so if sunlight energy possesses 100% energy, so to transfer that energy to green plants, around 10% of energy is lost, which leads to 90% of energy is lost and 10% of energy is left. All right. All right, I just made a mistake in telling you that that's the opposite thing I told you, which is the 10% rule, which says that only 10% is available, whereas the leftover energy, which is the 90% energy, is gone in vain, goes in vain. All right. So if sunlight possesses 100% energy, so to transfer that amount of energy to green plants, only 10% of energy is transferable or goes to plants, whereas 90% of energy is lost in this transfer process. All right. So thereon, from green plants, if the green plants has, let's say at that moment it has 100% energy, only 10% of it will be transferred, whereas the rest will be lost. All right. And same goes for the consumer's list. All right. So the input energy is solar trapped into producers, and the output energy, 90% in each tropic level, is used for growth, reproduction, and rest is lost as heat. So definitely this is lost. So whenever plants take some energy, so the most amount of energy is lost while transferred and while for their own growth and for reproduction processes, and only the leftover energy, which is 10%, is transferred to the next upper tropic level. All right. So here we have another diagram for you, which is the energy flow. As you can see, this is the first tropic level, then we have the second, the third, the fourth, and it decomposes here. So as you can see, a loss of heat takes place everywhere, all right. And also due to growth and reproduction factors, the heat and the energy is lost somewhere between, all right. So it is estimated that around 80 to 90% of the energy is lost when it is transferred from one tropic level to another. Definitely energy has to be lost for a growth of a particular tropic level. So if energy is not lost, definitely that particular tropic level will not grow. All right. So let's keep this video till here. I'll be continuing the video from here on in my next video. So stay tuned and thank you for watching this video.